Toddler Art Club. We are on day 7. Welcome to day 7 of our 25 days of toddler Christmas art activities. Sorry, just talking quick before you start screaming. So today we tried the salt dough ornament. You are a crazy boy. They're in the oven right now. I'm not 100% confident in them, but you take a look at this video and see how it turned out.
Salt, flour, and water. I found several different ratios of these ranging from equal parts salt and water to a ratio of 4:1. During these trials, the first attempt really did not work out. You might have heard me talking about how the salt dough wasn't working over in this video. Stick around to the end of the video to find out if I can figure out how to do this. This dough wasn't malleable at all. I had it wrapped up for maybe an hour or so since I prepped it up while Des was napping. I think maybe that had a role in why this didn't pan out. This dough was really hard to roll out. I had the intention of letting Des roll it out himself so that he could practice utilizing tools, but I was barely able to roll it out myself. My partner had to help us. Then of course it was nearly impossible to push Desi's hand and foot into the dough, and the impression was not very deep, which is why we tried it again. In my searches for salt dough, this little recipe popped up under the title of Better Than Salt Dough, with a gorgeous picture of a Christmas star ornament, so of course I had to try it. I definitely had high hopes for this one. I mean, how could a second recipe fail me? Well, it most certainly did. I literally didn't even bother recording this attempt. But I must say, although this combination does not solidify into a dough texture that's workable, this strange combination was one of the most entertaining goops that Des and I have ever played with. Both of us were amazed by how this substance that looked like it was liquid melted like it was a runny pancake hitting the griddle, but it felt dry to the touch. It was really weird. Honestly, we sat at his little table across from each other for nearly an hour playing with this stuff. And that might be the biggest takeaway from this video. As far as making ornaments go, this dough holds absolutely zero shape. There was no way to roll this out. I tried using my llama cookie cutter and it just oozed out. I even attempted baking this dough inside the cookie cutter. That didn't work either. Surprise, surprise. It broke apart and I thought that my baking sheet was a goner, but it washed away much more easily than I had expected. Attempt number 3. Obviously we're not getting precise measurements in our last attempt here, but any part that Desi can help with, I like to encourage. I let Des pour the ingredients, that way he's practicing more useful life skills, and of course flour and salt have a different texture, so he's getting that sensory stimulation as well. I don't mind the mess as long as he's benefiting from this some way. I tried to roll out the dough, but it was so sticky it constantly stuck to the rolling pin and surface no matter how much flour I put down. I assumed that it'd have the same properties as baking cookies, so maybe I over kneaded the dough. Baking is a science that I'm very unfamiliar with. I could just not get this dough to work for me. The dough was impossible to move. There was zero firmness to it, so every time I had a piece laid out flat, it would stretch and break when I tried to transfer it to the baking sheet. When Desi's foot was placed into the dough, you can see how sticky it is. It stuck to his foot when he pulled away, and it definitely affected the print. But we went ahead and baked these anyways.
What'd you think?
I think it definitely came out. Got a little sticky! You messy boy. Look at that foot.
And as you can see, there were air pockets which caused our ornament to puff up, which made the end result
There are
of this
multitude
project
of ways your child can benefit from trying this activity, regardless of
Even
how
though we
your
couldn't
salt
hack
dough
it, this was still valuable sensory entertainment for Desmond. There are a multitude of ways your child can benefit from trying this activity, regardless of how your salt dough handprint or footprint turns out. Each time we do an activity like this, I like for Des to get as much out of the project as possible. With this one, Des got to use a rolling pin, squish the dough, practice pouring and scooping, and practice his mixing. Throughout these activities, your toddler is building motor skills that will help grow the muscles necessary for everyday activities such as brushing teeth, using crayons, or buttoning up at top. Playing with dough also increases hand-eye coordination, and squishing into textures that are out of the ordinary can have a calming effect on your child. This is a great time to add in some science and math concepts such as comparing sizes, counting, and creating shapes. Sensory play like this is a great lesson in cause and effect as well. Not to mention, it promotes creativity, imagination, and increases curiosity. I don't know about you, but I'm trying to build a scientist over here, and what I mean by that is someone who has a deep love for exploring and experimenting with the world around them and pontificates. You can make this activity even more fun for your little one if you add in some toys to squish and make patterns with. I gave Des a whisk to press into the dough, although this was with our first attempt and the dough wasn't soft enough. But I also gave him a potato masher. You could use any toys that have texture, like we have a spiky ball, I want the salt dough project to be more than just a memory of how small Des was in this season. It's more than just
That's not our
an
main
end
focus.
product.
That's what
is known
Desi and
as
I are about.
process, making the most fun out of whatever we're doing, and fingers crossed that we end up with something that resembles the expectations, if only slightly. But that's not our main focus. This is known as process art.
Okay, what do you think? Here's our salt dough. That one definitely did not work. That one's got a little bit of indent. Burnt. This one moves.
Alrighty, let's wrap this up. So prep I would rate a 1 out of 5 because it's fairly easy. Probably already have all of the ingredients in your pantry, and if you let your toddler do it, there's 0 prep for you. Messiness? Definitely a 4 out of 5, or maybe 5 out of 5, depending on how you feel about it. I think we've definitely had messier projects, like since there was no paint involved in this, there wasn't paint on clothing, it seemed a little bit more manageable. Difficulty. Well, obviously this one was difficult for me, I couldn't quite hack it, so I'm giving this a 4 out of 5. And worth it? I'm only gonna put a 2 out of 5. And the reason I'm putting a 2 is because we did get some kind of stimulation out of this activity. So I think overall we got what we could out of it.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our 25 days of Christmas. If you guys know how to hack the salt dough, go ahead and leave me a comment down below. I've got a pun in mind that I'm not ready to give up on yet. Can you point over here? Here's how to find us. Three, two, one, can you jump? Holy moly! You are up.